Hi, everybody. I'm sorry to be so late today. It sounds almost 7:30 here on the East Coast. Um, I've been in LA for the last couple of days, and I got back late last night. So I've been spending today just catching up on, oh my gosh, just so much stuff in my office. Having been gone for not even a whole week, but just catching up on so much stuff. And I will. Um, uh, and so here you get me in, uh, a donate blood T-shirt and yoga pants. But I've been in my office trying to dig out all this stuff all the day. So I didn't want to push off until tomorrow. I think there's so much stuff. Hi, Jody. I think there's so much stuff that's going on in the universe right now as we're getting closer to the holidays. We're getting closer to the end of the decade, and so many people have been reaching out to me about people who are sick, people who are suicidal, people who are unexpectedly leaving the earth plane. So many people have been talking to me about, this person just dropped dead, and I will say, I don't think that as we come into this last part of not just the 2019 year, but in the last part of the decade, I don't think any of us is immune. And so as I say very, very often, let love be the thing that leads you. Let love be the thing that propels you forward. So for me, in full disclosure, I have been a little bit more private about it as I've been sharing information with friends. I haven't really put a whole bunch out on major, Facebook places, but the gentleman who has that is identified as my twin flame is currently on life support in a hospital, and so that's been going on since the week of Thanksgiving. The situation is improving. There is improvement, but having the person that is the other part of your soul be on life support is a difficult place to be, and trying to be respectful of families and things like that. So just knowing that there's so much that's shifting in the earth and in the energy in the universe right now, that there are so many souls that are coming in, but there are also so many souls that are choosing to leave. Right now, I feel like for me personally, I feel like he is choosing to stay. There's been a lot of really interesting communication in dreams, which is a whole nother podcast and a lot of fun. But it seems like he's choosing to stay for the moment, and that's encouraging. But it's a long road for anybody on life support to come back to a place of good health. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But there are a lot of people right now that are choosing to leave the earth plane for whatever their reason is. A lot of people feel like their mission is done. A lot of people feel like, especially in the current political climate, that perhaps they can't finish their mission of what they came here to learn or to experience. And that leads me to something that I had posted earlier on the page. I really like Mike Dooley. I'm really blessed that he lives, here in Orlando. And so we get, I don't want to say we get more access to him because it's pretty private, but he does, events and things here locally, and it's really a real blessing. But I want to say that the thing that I had posted earlier about, everything that happens, to us is for a reason. And it's one of the things that's been that theme has been coming up over and over again. We've seen it a lot in in this moon time in Sagittarius, and a lot at the sister circle that I lead, it keeps coming up over and over again, that the things that happen to us, it's not necessarily, I don't believe that it's things that happen to us. We spend a lot of time as humans going, oh, this happened to me. I can't believe this happened to me. Why did this happen to me? And for me, especially, I feel like it's not it's so much that things have happened to us, but it's that things have happened for us. And I think that takes a lot to shift that mental victim, why me attitude, because, granted, some shitty things happen every single day, and to people who don't deserve them. So it is not about deserve level, and it's clearly the ghosts in my house agree with that, but it isn't about deserve level, but it is about understanding that everything that happens for us. It happens to move us forward on the path towards experiencing whatever it is that we came here to experience. So I use the story of Bank of America tried to steal my house, and if you follow my blog at all, you've heard the story. But in 2009, when the economy was tanking and the financial crisis and all of that was going on, Bank of America, among other banks, was rubber stamping on houses that they had, were foreclosing on houses that they didn't even own. We had a Bank of America mortgage. We were in the middle of a refinance when Bank of America merged with Countrywide, and they lost us in the new computer system. We had been continuing to pay our mortgage, but in the kerfuffle of their new computer system, they came to us about 6 months later and said, "You owe us $12,000, and we're going to foreclose on your house." And we said, "We don't owe you $12,000. We've been paying you. You've been taking the money, and we could prove it." But it didn't matter that we could prove it, because now that company had become so large that even though these horrible collections people, and I have so much compassion now for the people that do that job, because that is such a tough job. I mean, they get a computer screen, the phone dials for them. They don't even know who they're talking to before they get on the phone. They just assume they're talking to somebody who has done something wrong. And when you verify who you are, your name, your phone number, your address, whatever it is, so that they can actually open up your computer file, then they can look at the situation and to all of them would be like, oh, we can see, you've paid all this money, and yet we're still threatening to foreclose on you, and you're in collections, and you're not a naughty person. I said, great, can you fix it? And again, to a T, no. And so this went on for about 3 years, and finally a guy named Iggy in the president's office looked at it and said, oh, clickety click, and it was over. It was over just like that. And Bank of America had called me for 3 years, starting at 8 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock at night, every 30 to 45 minutes, 5 days a week, and maybe on Saturdays. But it was the harassment level was unbelievable. And it would be illegal today. And actually, the Department of Justice at that time came back after the fact with a big lawsuit against Bank of America and Wells Fargo and some of the other banks, and said, you all have done really bad things wrong, and you have to really bad things, and you have to make restitution. And so what happened for us was they gave us a loan forgiveness on our second mortgage. We had a second mortgage on the house that was for $85,000 to be $85,000 closer to being able to own our home, and to finally get our refi finished, which in the end turned out to be better than, because they offered us a better deal, so we didn't sue the shit out of them. They offered us a better mortgage than we would have had in the first place. So if you had told me in the beginning that if I could survive 3 years of Bank of America torturing the hell out of me for 3 years, that I would get A, B, and C at the end, I would have said, piece of cake. But I wouldn't have learned anything, and my life wouldn't have shifted. And so I'm incredibly grateful for the $85,000 and the better mortgage that we had, and all of the things. Don't get me wrong, it sucked. It absolutely sucked. But now with 10 years of being able to look back on it, or less than 10 years or whatever, but being able to look back on it, so many blessings came to my life because of that nightmare. And so I think one of the things that we get really afraid of is that we won't look back on things that were difficult or hard or fearful or sad, because we don't want to feel those things again. And I understand that, because I don't want to feel like that helpless ever again. And I don't ever want to let some organization ever have that much power over me ever again. And no one should. But that feeling of helplessness, and that feeling of just, I don't know what else I can possibly do to fix the situation other than everything that we were already doing, and just waiting it out. I mean, we had lawyers, we had congressmen, looking into it, and it wasn't until somebody that I knew that was trying to sell me life insurance that said, well, I have the email of the office of the president, and encouraged me to send an email, and I did. And his office manager, whoever this guy Iggy was, assistant to the president of the bank, got my email and read my story. But it was just that the universe decided that it was time. And this poor guy, I know that he was really genuinely trying to sell me life insurance, but he was sent to my path for a very different purpose, and he helped end the nightmare that we had been going through. And I just knew that it was time for that to end, because we had, I don't think that I had learned everything I needed to learn at that point, but I think that a lot of the time the universe will beat the shit out of you until you can be weakened enough and willing enough to just surrender. And I had really gotten to that point where I was just like, you know what, fuck it. I just didn't know what else to do. And every day it was like a new, well, let's see what they throw at us today. And we really just got to the point where we gave it up and we surrendered to the universe to allow whatever was going to happen and to learn whatever we were supposed to learn, because clearly we were supposed to be learning something. And when we get to that point of surrender, that's really where we start to shift. And so I was talking to somebody else today about, you get that little nudge, and you get that little niggling from the universe, and then you get that little push, and then you get a little shove, a little, hey, you get that poking, and then, a little bit more, and then you're going to get the cosmic bitch slap if you're not paying attention. And so finally, because often it takes that the universe has to just body slam you until we finally are like, I give up. What is it that you're trying to show me? What is it you're trying to lead me to? Because whatever it is, I'm not getting it. I give up. And it is in those moments that the life preservers come. So I really do stand by that everything that happens for us, even the shitty stuff. It happens for us, and that there is some lesson or blessing in it. And a lot of times, it's really the stuff that's so hard, the loss of loved ones, where is there a blessing in that? But what we're looking for may not be some kind of gift, but maybe a strength that you have gained, or a wisdom that you have gained for having walked through that fire, that you can now walk someone else through their fire, and you can help bring the light to their darkness. And that becomes monumentally important, because that is where we really shift one person to the next person. Because when we share our light with others, we don't diminish our light, we illuminate everybody. And it becomes a hugely powerful shift when we are willing to look back at all the crap that's happened to us and be able to say, okay, that totally sucked, and I hated every second of it, and I never want to do any of that again. But what did I get from this? Where is the benefit, the blessing, the strength, the gift that I can use to walk forward from this car wreck, this disaster, this, burning embers of whatever it was that just exploded behind me, that I can use to walk forward from that new way. And so as we're coming to the last 2.5 weeks of this decade, what is it that you have been unwilling to look back on and really see where you can pull that phoenix feather from the fire and use that to walk forward in a new way? And all of this, so this was a Mike Dooley post. He has his website, tut.com, and they put out an email you can sign up for. I highly recommend it. It's Thoughts from the Universe, and it is, TUT is the Universe Talks, TUT, the Universe Talks. And they put out a short little thought from the universe every day, and I look forward to it because it's always just spot on the money. And so as I was looking at this one, and they're usually just a couple of sentences, and maybe it's a paragraph, but as I was looking at this one, I thought this really resonated for me today. And some of the comments that came on that post were, really, is that, do you really believe that everything, even the shitty stuff, happens for our best good, our highest and best good, that is a blessing? And it leads back into this conversation that we've been having since the new moon went into Sagittarius, because this has been this ongoing conversation. I can't even count now how many people I've had this with. And so I sat down now because I really wanted to make sure I did the cards of the week before it got to Tuesday. I know sometimes it gets into Tuesday when I'm traveling. And so I really wanted to make sure I did cards of the week today. And so the first card, no lie, is Priestess. And this is, I want to read you what it says in the Rebecca Campbell's Work Your Life Oracle card book, because she wrote it so incredibly perfectly. And, you know, it says Priestess, the card says Priestess, but take it as priest or priestess, okay? So you are the leader. But I just thought this was so perfect how she had written this. It's a teacher dedicated to service, freedom, and leadership. You don't need to have it all together to lead. In fact, it helps if you don't. No one wants a perfect angel who hasn't made any mistakes. Let your life be your message. Don't underestimate the power of sharing your story. It's by hearing someone else's journey that we feel less alone, and we realize that we're all in this thing called life together. And I just thought that that was so fantastic, because this is really, you know, ties exactly right back into what we've been talking about, which is the, you know, looking back at the places that were hard and difficult and finding the blessings that are in them, and finding the strength that's in them. Because I'm going to tell you, nobody who has made it to the top of any field, in any capacity, whether it's athletics or business or, you know, whatever it is, nobody who has made it to the top is going to get up there and say, oh, it's a cakewalk. What are people whining about? Okay. And anybody that would, it would never happen, but anybody that would, was not going to be an interesting speaker. There's not anybody or an interesting leader. Why would you want to follow someone who has no bloody knees? Why would you want to, you know, participate in following the where that person is going to lead you to if they haven't struggled at all? Because they're not going to understand the distance. Hey, Robin, they're not going to understand the distance and the fire and the coals and the, you know, the sweat and the blood and all the tears that you have walked through to even get to where they are, to meet them on the way. So why would you want to work with somebody or follow someone who doesn't have any, you know, scrapes on their knees or blood on their hands, or, you know, maybe not blood on their hands, but, you know, bloody knees. You know, in my other hat that I wear, I'm a director with Mary Kay Cosmetics, and I am so, you know, grateful for that position that, you know, has, you know, been with that, you know, for such a long time. But Mary Kay herself would say that she had the bloodiest knees of all, because she was down in the trenches and she built that company with her bare hands. And I just think that that's such an important thing, that we take that time to go back and look at the drama and the trauma that we have endured. Because here's the thing, if you're here, you have endured it. Your success rate, your rate of success for surviving all the shit that has happened to you is 100%, because you are here. You are already victorious because you're here. You may not be unscathed, but you are victorious because you are here. You have already survived, which means whatever other crap is coming your way, because there's always going to be something else, you will survive that too, because you have already survived all the rest of it. But taking the time to go back and look at all the things that we have survived and what strengths and blessings that we can learn from them, that is hugely important, because that is really where we take our light. We go back to that, the burning pile of trash, and we pick up that little phoenix feather and we light that, you know, we carry that little one burning ember and we carry that forward, and we can take those things that we have learned and the strength and the wisdom that we have gained along the way to help other people, so that maybe their walk through the fire isn't quite so scarring. And maybe it doesn't take them 3 years to walk through the fire. Maybe we can help them to have their journey be a little lighter, because we can walk with them. And that's really where the Priestess card comes in. That is so what this is about. And so the fact that this was the first card today just made me go, well, of course it is, because the cards are never wrong, which just, that's what I love. And so then, of course, the next card, which just made me laugh, because it's, you're already doing it. And these pictures are so beautiful. You are already doing it, because there's this part of you, if you're following me, you're already leading somebody else. You know, there's something, whether you're leading a friend or you're leading a child or you're leading a group in your church or synagogue, or you're leading a group in your community, or you're leading a group of consultants, or you're, you know, leading a youth group, or whatever it is, if you're following, because people who care about learning and bettering themselves and improving who they are, and self-mastery and self-improvement and being more connected with their higher, these are people who are already doing things to make the world a better place. Even if it's as simple as you wrote a check, or you clicked like on someone's post, or you supported something, or you marched for something, or whatever. we are the people who are already standing up for the little guys. We are already trying to make the world a better place. We are already trying to shine our light. So you're already doing it. You're on exactly the right path. You're already doing it. What I'm talking about is dig a little deeper, and be brave enough to look back at the traumas of the past and really dig in there and see where is it that you have gained the strength and the wisdom that you can share with other people. Because the thing is that all that stuff in the past, while there is still the potential for pain to be involved in that, it really can't hurt you not in anywhere near the same way if we don't let it, because it really is the past. It can't come back. Our loved ones can't come back. Now that we know that they're still with us, but they can't come back in that same way. So the pain is a different kind of pain. And I would never presume to tell somebody who's been through such huge loss or pain that their pain was not valid. I don't feel like we have the right to tell someone else whether their feelings are valid or what they should or shouldn't feel. But I do feel like it's important to see that those things can often come with a filter of time. Okay. Now, if you are just walking out of the fire yesterday and you're not ready to go back and stand in that space, that has to be respected as well. But if it's something that you can look at, because here we are at the close of a decade, and so really what we're looking at is this 2010 to 20 decade. This is the period of time that we're talking about. Where are we, in this decade? What can you look back on and look at what you can learn and what you can have as those strengths and those gifts? Now, you may have stuff that has happened before this particular decade, and that's totally fine. But nobody is talking about, stuff that may have happened yesterday that was still so raw. But there are so many people that are transitioning from the planet right now for whatever that their reasons are. And I think that it is important for all of us to take the time to really do some self-assessment as we come in, not to just this close of the year, but also to this close of the decade. And to really look at what have we gained, what have we learned, what have we survived, and what can we pull from that to really help lead others and to make this world a better place as we go into the new decade. But let's not forget to have some fun along the way. And I think that's really important, because you know what? You gotta love, you gotta laugh, and you gotta eat some chocolate. I mean, I'm never opposed to, something sweet. And I know, we don't want to have too much sugar, and especially this time of the year, because sugar makes, sugar can make pain in the body, at least certainly in mine. Sugar makes pain in my body, but I still like some good chocolate. We can't be afraid to have a little fun. We can't get so caught up in the drama of family or holiday shopping stress or whatever it is, the end of the decade. We can't be so caught up in it that we forget to have some fun. So please take some time and have a little fun. Jody, I am so glad. That makes my heart so happy to know that that's something I have said is helpful for you. So yay, thank you. I'm looking over there because I'm looking where your name is. Okay, so we have being the priest or priestess, so that you are leading the way and that we're not afraid to look back at the things that we've been through to be able to lead the way. Knowing that if you're even watching this video, you're already doing it in some way. So big props to you for that, and much gratitude for being brave enough to step up and say, I'm going to help create more light in the world and a higher vibration, and to be able to, to bring about the change. What do they say? Be the change that we want to see in the world. But we also want to have some fun. So apropos of that, and I am going to read, where's my card? I put it, our postcard from the universe. But apropos of play, I had this idea, and I wanted to see what you guys thought about it, and I'm going to put it in a regular post as well, so it doesn't get buried at the end of this video. But I had this idea of setting up like a time for questions and answers, like a Q&A session, where we can just have maybe on a Zoom and have an online metaphysical discussion group. So if you have an opinion or some thoughts, I would love your feedback. And like I said, I'm going to put up a single post about it as well. But I was thinking of maybe doing something with just, an hour or two, maybe $10 just to register, just to get people to have that commitment to be involved in it, and to do some Q&A about anything in the metaphysical, spiritual discussion that you guys would like to talk about, anything that I can help with, because I think sometimes people don't always know what questions to ask, or by the time they can think of it, our video is over. So just to be able to open that up and maybe create a little online place where we can have some discussion. So, oh, I get kissy faces. That's good. All right, and I'm going to. Such a mess, but that's okay because I'm packed and my laundry is mostly done. So, all right, so we're going to read our postcard from the universe. So it says, "Dear you, uncertainty." And again, I asked them to give me the right card. I don't read these in advance, so I'm always so happy when they align. But it says, "Uncertainty is the new normal for the whole world. Things are changing at a rapid pace, and the old ways we once trusted are no longer reliable. But leaving the familiar behind can be a good thing. When you are pushed to step into the unknown, you are pulled forward into discovering new possibilities that have been hidden from you in plain sight. Check in with your higher power. Your soul knows better than your small self. Have faith in the support of a higher power and the infinite potential for your life right now. The advice that we have for you is this: try something new, do something different. You won't know how it feels or what it looks like or what the outcome will be if you do not take that first step into the unknown and experience the unfamiliarity. So you won't know how it feels or what it looks like or what the outcome will be if you don't take that first step into the unknown and experience the unfamiliarity. You'll be glad you did, because the treasure will appear. We're so proud of you for being brave. You are so loved and so supported." So I will put those out as well. And I love that we are being encouraged to do a little assessment, take steps, take a leap. And that's another part of this Sagittarian time, is being able to do that rear looking and gather those tools, those lights, those blessings, and those strengths to be able to use those to catapult us forward as we move into the new year. So I hope this has been helpful. I know this was a little bit longer one, but I felt like I really wanted to get on. You know how much I love coming online without makeup and stuff, but sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. So I thank you for spending some time. Thanks for joining me, and I'm so grateful that any of this was helpful to any of you. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. Happy to be back in my own home. Happy that it's not raining here. There's a lot of rain in LA, and people in LA, they don't know what to do with rain. So I was happy to be back on the East Coast. Hug your loved ones. There's a lot of people coming and going in the universe, and in the people choosing to stay on the earth plane or not stay on the earth plane. So hug your loved ones, because we want to make sure that they all know that we'd like them to stay if they can. So have a great evening. Thanks so much for spending some time. And if you like this video, please like it and share with your friends. Have a great evening.